Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So I'm going to put together a little odds and ends video for you guys, and I'll be honest with you right now, as I'm in here kind of shooting the introduction to this, I'm not quite sure what all is going to be in this video because I have shot a bunch of stuff, little short segments I'm going to put together, and I think it's probably too much for one video, so I'm going to probably split this into a couple. But we do have a little bit of varied content this week. We've got viewer appreciation mail, we've got some new tool purchases, got some comments I want to talk about based on some feedback I've gotten from you guys, and some questions, some requests, I guess, for some additional information. And we've got a couple of projects that we're going to throw in here too. So I've got a couple little lathe jobs that I've done here recently that were just quick, dirty things, but I thought you guys would like seeing them. And there's really not enough there to warrant making an entire video out of them, so we'll blend those in here as well to give you guys some shop content. So let's get going. So here's a couple of items that came in from my viewer Wayne Rivers, who's up in Newburgh, Maine. He sent me 2 copies of the South Bend manual titled How to Run a Lathe. This is interesting because these are basically, it's the same publication, but they're different editions. So the original edition of this this text was published in 1914, and they had many different editions of it printed over the years. So this one here is the 33rd edition it's got a date in it of 1937. And this one here is actually, let's see. Okay, so this is the revised edition number 56, and it was published in 1966. So there were probably millions of copies of this manual, this kind of instruction piece on how to run a lathe that were published over the years. And it's got some really good information in it. It looks like there's some clippings in this one from popular mechanics that have been kind of stuck in here over the years, so that'll be kind of interesting to go through. But you know, basically everything you need to know about running a lathe, from the types of tools, how to read a micrometer, and so on and so on. Another interesting thing that I think I'll probably do just for the fun of it is kind of look through this and see if I can pick out any differences in them, just because they were made at different times and different eras. I'm sure some of the illustrations changed with time, but it'll be interesting to kind of look through it and see how the different editions may have changed over the years. So anyway, if anybody's interested, this manual is actually still in print today. I don't know if South Bend's printing it, but I know that there are some reprints that have been made, and this is a standard, it's a really good book. If you've got a lathe and you just want a good book to look to kind of learn the basics, this is a great place to start. It will get you started down that path and at least discuss and teach you the basics and give you a good reference on running a lathe, whether it be a South Bend lathe or any kind of lathe, but very good text to have. And actually, I'm familiar with this book. I've looked at them many times. I don't think that I've got a copy of this, and so now I have 2. So thanks a lot, Wayne. I'll add these to my library. So you guys have seen this before. This is my dividing head, and the reason I'm pulling it out is been getting a lot of questions about putting the lines on the safe dial, and I plan on using the dividing head here to divide out those divisions that I need to do to actually put the lines on there. And then plan is probably on the milling machine, I will either scratch them in there or use like a little engraving tool and engrave them in there. But I will use the dividing head to actually index the space between each one of the lines in here. But I pull this out right now because I have a little bit of a request, hopefully that somebody can help me out on. To do this job, I'm going to need to be able to chuck it up on here, and I don't have a chuck to fit this dividing head. So I guess what I'm asking is if anybody out there has a little small 3-jaw chuck that they don't have a need for, I'm in the market for one. You know, I want it to be a decent chuck. This one will take up to an 8-inch chuck. Won't go any larger than 8 inches. And you know, I'd like to find an 8-inch chuck for it if I could. I would, you know, probably settle for a 6-inch chuck. I wouldn't want to go any smaller than that, I don't think. It does have somewhat of an unusual thread on here. So this is, I think it's 2 1/4 inches in diameter. So 2 inches, 250 thousandths. But the thread on here is what's kind of weird. 2 1/4 is a fairly common thread. Or chuck size or mounting size for chucks, but usually they have 8 threads per inch. This one here has 4.5 threads per inch. I actually got that on my thread gauge. That's just the coarsest reference on my thread gauge that I have is 4.5. And I've been looking online also trying to find a back plate that I can screw up on here. But have not really been successful in that either. So probably am going to just have to make a back plate unless somebody knows where I can find a back plate for this oddball size thread. But you know, that's not a big deal. I can make a back plate to adapt to a 3-jaw chuck. That's something I can make on the lathe, but the challenge again is finding a 3-jaw chuck. I could just purchase a new one. You know, that's always an option, but most of the new ones that would be really in my price range that I'd be willing to pay are going to be, you know, probably something made in China. And I really just don't want to buy a new piece of Chinese something to put on here. But it's really hard for me to justify spending, you know, the kind of money it would cost to buy a new American-made chuck for this thing. For just going on a dividing head. But anyway, we'll see what we'll end up doing. You know, I may end up just, you know, ordering something from Shars or something if I have to. But anyway, again, I was hoping that someone might have in their scrap pile, or maybe not their scrap pile, but their pile of stuff that they're not using or don't have a need for, a little small 3-jaw chuck. So if you got anything, shoot me an email. My email address is right down here. In my name piece here, and that's really the best way to get a hold of me on something like this. I really try hard to look at all the comments, guys, but I'm gonna be honest with you, the comment system on YouTube kind of sucks, and sometimes I know I miss comments because of the way they come in, and it's if you just send me an email, if you got something you need to ask me or whatever, that's really the best way to get a hold of me. So if you just want to comment on the video, just comment on YouTube, and I do my best to read them all. But if you got a real question or you need to get a hold of me for something, email is usually the best way to do that. So anyway, enough on this. If anybody can help me out, you know, let's talk. And you know, I'm willing to pay a reasonable price for something, or maybe we can do a little horse trading or figure out some way to find a chuck for this thing. Thanks a lot. All right, so up next is another viewer gift, and this one came in from someone that didn't want me to mention their name on the air, and they were kind of in response. And one of my last odds and ends, I showed the little radius gauge, the little ones that kind of look like a set of feeler gauges, but they have radius gauges. And he wanted to send me this set here, which is another Starrett set of radius gauges, which are real nice. And basically, this set has all of the different things that the two little sets that I got before that were in the little index, or whatever you want to call it, plus a couple of others in here. So just to kind of give you an idea, you know, these are by fraction, so that's 11/32 radius. So of course the diameter is twice of that. But you've got several things in here you can measure off of. So this radius, that radius, you got a partial radius here plus a, you know, total outside there. It gives you several references that you can work off of. And of course you can go up and kind of measure these by fractionals. If you're grinding a tool cutter that needs to be a certain radius, you can put that on there to get that. You know, you can go into corners all kinds of different angles go in here. So, and these go from in 64ths of an inch, from basically 3/64, or actually 1/32, all the way up to ½ inch. And this set is nice too. Actually, there's a 1/64 up here, so 1/64 to ½ inch. And this is a little tool. It's spring loaded that you can actually grab these. Let me screw that out just a little bit. All right, here we go. So you push that down, this comes in like this, and you can tighten that up, and it gives you a handy little piece here to hold this if you need to get up into something. So and you can of course use this little holder with any of them. You can clamp that on there anywhere you want to, depending on what you're measuring. So again, a very nice set. This is a number S167C. It's a number on there in case you're looking for something similar. And we'll add this to the toolbox, and I'll put them with those other little Starrett gauges that I got before. And you know, I should be set on radius gauge sets now. So thanks a lot. So the next items here is also a purchase for me, and again, this kind of comes from the safe dial episode where I was needing to measure the thickness of that bore, where or not the bore, but the thickness of the piece through a bore. And I ended up getting a hub micrometer. So if you've never seen a hub micrometer, this was made specifically for measuring the thickness of a hub, and it's just like a regular micrometer. Except, of course, a regular micrometer is going to have a big arc around here for like measuring a piece of round stock. This is designed to fit down inside of a hole or a bored out piece, and then measuring the thickness of whatever that is. And that safe dial that I was doing, you know, this was the perfect tool. In fact, I've got that piece right here, and you can see how I was using it. So I had this piece here, and it was on the lathe, and I needed to be able to reach in there and measure the thickness of this. And you know, it's the perfect tool for doing that. That's what it's designed for, and that's what I got this for. So there are other ways you could measure this, but this is really a nice tool. I've actually needed a hub micrometer for some other stuff, and I decided that this was a good opportunity to get one. And I purchased this actually from one of my viewers, and got a couple of other tools from him as well. So this one is made by Moore and Wright of Sheffield, England. I don't have any other tools made by Moore and Wright. I'm familiar with them. I've seen them before, just never had them. So I'm kind of excited to have that. And in the, as long as we're looking at hub micrometers, I also purchased a second hub micrometer as part of this lot of tools. And this one is actually a 2 to 3 inch hub micrometer. And this one is made by Tumico, the Tubular Micrometer Company of St. James, Minnesota. And it's basically just like the other one, but as you can see, you know, this one is for measuring 2 to 3 inch range. So, you know, it would work the same, but if you had a bigger hub. And of course, they made a 1 to 2, and I guess now I need to be looking out for a 1 to 2 just so that I can have the set. I don't know. You know, I do a lot of pulley work, and I'm sure these will come in handy for measuring the diameters of those hubs on pulleys. So anyway, got the two hub micrometers. Again, this one is Moore and Wright. This one is Tumico. And to kind of go along with that, there's actually another tool, and some of you even mentioned this in the comments. And I already had it ordered before, or because it came with this, but as part of this same lot was the Starrett box. Gotta love the Starrett box. So it was this one here, and this one here looks practically brand new. And this is a groove micrometer. So if you look on here, it works just like anything else, but there's these two little discs, and if you got like a groove and you need to measure the diameter of that or the thickness of that groove, you can reach in there and do that with this. And also you can measure in between these two pieces. This Starrett to me looks like it's basically brand new. I don't know that it's ever been used. If it has been, it's only been used a time or two. It's extremely clean. It's in the box. Very nice. So anyway, we got the hub micrometers, the 2 hub micrometers, and this groove micrometer, and paid $175 for all 3 of these, and that included the shipping, so I didn't have to pay anything additional for shipping. But anyway, I'm excited about these, some new good precision measurement tools for the toolbox, and they'll get used. So thanks a lot. So the next item here is also a viewer gift from one of my viewers, and this comes from Chris Mariska. And Chris contacted me a while back. He had seen the Brown & Sharp 6 to 12 inch micrometer set that I picked up a while back, and when I showed that video, I made the comment that it was missing the wrench to adjust the micrometers. Well, as it turned out, Chris has a Brown & Sharp. This is actually a 2 to 6 inch micrometer set, and it has the wrench, and he wanted to send this to me. Now I will comment that it does have an issue, which was the main reason that he sent it to me for the wrench, and that is he says that this anvil that's in here right now looks like the 2 inch anvil for measuring 2 to 3 inches, I guess, is stuck. He said he couldn't get it out. I have not tried yet. I may try to see if I can get that out, but he was concerned that this set was pretty much maybe not any good, but the wrench would actually work with my set as well. So I am going to try to work on these, Chris, and see if I can have any luck. Like I said, I haven't had time to do anything with it yet, but regardless, very nice set of micrometers here, and you know, at the very least, we'll use the wrench, and who knows, maybe we can salvage the micrometer part as well. I've got individual micrometers to measure from basically 0 to 6 inches, so I don't know how much I would really use this set from having to change out the anvil, since I can just go grab the individual mic and not have to worry about doing all the adjustments and calibrating it for every use. But still, I could very easily see a situation come up where maybe I needed 2 different mics in that range or something, and needed to have one maybe set up for something. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, very nice set. Seems like most of my micrometers now are Brown & Sharp. And Brown & Sharp, of course, made great stuff. So thanks a lot, Chris. I do appreciate it. And, you know, again, we'll put these to good use. And like I said, if nothing else, we'll use the wrench in there and maybe try to be able to use the whole set. So the next items here that came in, this comes from my good buddy and fellow YouTube producer, James Kilroy, who has a YouTube channel on machining that I watch. And James got a 3D printer a while back and has been playing around with it. And he has actually made up a little frame like this right here that will hold a GoPro camera. And I've got a GoPro camera, even personalized it with my name in there. It says Keith Rucker. So he told me in his note that this one here is version 5. I guess he kept making revisions to it, and it's got a little clip in the front to kind of hold the camera in there. And then he also sent me a second one, and he said this one is version 6, the black one. Basically the same, but it doesn't have this little clip in the front to hold. He says you really don't need it. So it's basically just 3D printed. Again, personalized with my name on there, and it's got some little inserts in here to 1/4-20 studs, which is standard for like on a tripod mount or something. I actually used this today, and it works great. In fact, I've got just a regular frame that goes to 1/4-20 that I have been using with my GoPro, but this, I really like this better, and the main reason is because the other one just has the mounting hole in the bottom. This one has one on the back, and the way I mount this on my indicator stand, the one on the back actually works a little bit better for mounting it. Anyway, this is very nice, and like I said, I used it today, and it worked great. Of course, I had 2 GoPro cameras before all my camera stuff got stolen. This one is actually a loaner that Charles Marlin sent me to use, and one of these days soon I'm gonna probably go ahead and bite the bullet and get one of the new Hero 4s. Additionally, James sent me a couple of decals, and I don't know if you can see that or not in the sun, but it has his Kilroy logo on there. Has a big one and a small one. Of course, the old Kilroy logo from World War II that was painted on all kinds of things that said Kilroy was here, and he put it on here, Kilroy is here. Of course, James Kilroy. So James, appreciate the stickers. We'll find a good place to put those. And he did put in a request. He said he wanted me to send one of my Vintage Machinery decals, and I've got a few more of those left, James, so we'll definitely put a couple of those in the mail to you here real quick and get some to you. I probably need to get some more of those decals ordered soon. But anyway, thanks a lot, James. Very much appreciated. Really like the personalized GoPro mount. That is really neat. Good design work. I'm assuming you design those up in SolidWorks and then just print them out on your printer. So I may want to get that file from you since I have a 3D printer as well that I can play around with and maybe print out some more should I need some more down the road. So thanks a lot, James. So Jay Kilroy sent me a little decal, and I wanted to show you, Jay. I put it over here on my toolbox out here at the shop in a prominent place where folks will notice it. So it's on the side of my toolbox. Here's my sign-in sheet when I come out here to work at the museum. Volunteer hours, I have to keep track of my time for the museum. And anyway, I've got this on the toolbox. I got it up a little bit high. Sorry about that. I had that flipped up when I was putting it on there, and I wish I had just put it down about a ½ inch lower, but still, it looks good like that. I'm sure I'll get some comments about that out here at the shop where people will see it. So thanks for the decal. I got the smaller one. I'll have to figure out a place to put it as well, but that worked out perfect. Thanks a lot, Jay. I've mentioned in a couple of my videos that I'm in the process, really been more in the planning process, but finally getting around to the actual building process of building a new furnace for doing my foundry work. And the little setup I got now does all right for aluminum. Brass is kind of pushing its limits on getting up to temperature for melting. And I want to build one that's a little bit bigger, has a little more capacity, and also can get a lot more heat in it. In fact, I'm shooting to have one that will actually be capable of melting cast iron if I decide to. Most of my melting is going to be more brass and aluminum, but I want to have that option should I need to. So I've been doing some research, and I found a setup, at least for a burner, that I really liked. And this was a setup that was actually designed by Dave Allen. Dave has a YouTube channel, and actually I saw his over on the SV Seeker site when and Dave actually helped put together that one. So between looking at the SV Seeker site and looking at some of Dave's videos and actually contacting Dave and getting some feedback from him, we've come up with a design or an adaptation, I guess, of his design that I'm going to try to work with. And I will probably shoot another video later on really going into the details on this burner, but right now I've got a couple of things I need to make for it, or a couple of things I need to do to it to kind of get it ready. So first off, and I will just take a few minutes and cover this, but first off, tell you what, let me zoom you in here, we can see this and we'll talk about it. So first off here, we've got the actual burner itself. And this is a commercial part. This is made by Delvan, D-E-L-A-V-A-N. This is a part number 17147, this little piece, brass piece right here. And this is a body that holds a tip, and this little tip screws in here, and I'm using a 30609-8 tip that goes in here. But basically, what this little brass body here does is it serves as an atomizer to atomize the fuel to make a stream that will go out. So my goal is that I'll be burning oil. You can burn diesel oil, you can use motor oil, you can use waste vegetable oil, any kind of oil will burn with this system. And the feed line for the oil actually comes in the top. So I've got a elbow in here and got it some brass fittings, taking it out to just a piece of a 1/4 inch brake line, steel brake line that I'll be feeding it with. In the back here, will actually be air. So this will be compressed air coming in, and that's going to be what actually atomizes the fuel. So the fuel will go in here, and basically it'll turn that oil into a fine mist that will then come out the end and burn. So anyway, this is it. And like I said, we got a bunch of brass fittings on here, and we just got some, again, this just brake line with a flare type fitting on there that goes up in here to tighten it all up. And I'm still getting it all like I want it, but this is mocked up more or less how it's going to be. Additionally, there's a spin vane that will go on the front of this, and you see that kind of looks like a propeller, and that's going to fit up inside this pipe back here. And there'll be more air that comes in the form of a blower, and basically what this does is causes that air to spin. And this spin vane here was actually made for me by Charles Marlin. He's making a similar one, and we talked about how to make these, and he said, well, I'll get somebody just to cut that piece out on a water jet, and he did, and he sent me some, and then he actually made a piece that goes up on here. I kind of had to laugh at Charles a little bit. Sorry, Charles, but you know, I called it a spin vane because it causes the air to spin, but when Charles built it, he made it where the actual piece spins. Well, this is supposed to be stationary. It's a great machining job, by the way. Made this collar, it's got a little snap ring on there, and man, it spins like a charm. But we're gonna take it and actually just weld that on there so it doesn't spin, because we're spinning the air, not the propeller. But again, that fits up on the front here like such, and there's just a little lock screw that locks that in place. And then all of this will fit up inside my pipe, and it just fits inside. I probably need to zoom you out to see that. So as you can see, all of this just kind of fits right up in here, goes up in there, and it will be at some place in there, and I got to figure out where that needs to be. So this piece of pipe here will be the feed pipe, and again, the fuel comes in the back. What I'm going to be making today is actually a plug that plugs this up and has some holes coming out that will hold this in place. This is where your forced air will come in, so I have a blower blowing, and that'll come in this pipe on the side. And this piece here is another piece that was put together for me by Charles Marlin. Charles is an expert welder, a much better welder than I am, and he had the stuff to actually notch this out properly and weld that up. So he actually put that together for me since he was making one for himself as well. So anyway, the project though for right now is I want to take a piece of steel, turn it so that it fits up inside of this, and it probably needs to be, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch thick altogether, maybe 1 inch thick, and there will be some holes where this pipe will come out the back. Actually, there's going to be 3 holes. There's a third pipe that will go in here, so there'll be a third piece that comes in here, and it just kind of ends, and that will be for the propane to feed in. When you first start it up, you start it on propane, and then or you can just burn propane, or you can burn the oil. So it's going to be a very versatile burner in that it can burn propane or oil, or both even. So anyway, we'll have a third tube that comes in there. So I've got them to just turn a piece that's going to go in here, a little plug to go in there, and then we'll drill those out for the brake line. And that's actually the project that I'm going to show you today, is building this cap on the end. A long explanation to kind of show you what we'll be doing. And that ought to be plenty to hold that in place. I found a piece of a 3-inch stock that I'm going to use to make this out of, and this, however long that is, I haven't measured it. I only need about 1 inch off of this, but I really don't want to cut it off to do this, because I'd have to cut it off long to have work holding and all that. So I'm just going to machine what I need on the end and cut it one time and save as much of this material as I can. That being pretty big stock, I hate to just, you know, cut it up and have another piece of waste out of it. So to give it some support, I'm going to use my my steady rest, and this Lodge and Shipley lathe actually has two steady rests that came with it. One of them is a little bit bigger than the other for a little bit larger material, and anyway, we're going to use this one and get it set up on here to give that some support, and then we'll just again machine off about 1 inch off the end, and I'll saw that off with the bandsaw, and then we'll face it off and be done. All right, so start by just bringing these up to where they're just touching like they are. So this stock is just a tad over 3 inches. The outside diameter of that tubing over there is 2 inches 900 thousandths. So we're just going to turn this down, and I think I'm just going to go about 1.25 inches deep, and then we'll cut a lip on this end, face off the other side, and go from there. We drilled the center hole on the lathe, and again, you know, that's going to be for the center tube here. There'll be 3 tubes altogether, and I want them equally spaced coming out of here. So anyway, I put this on the mill, and you know, I've just got that drill bit. We're to go down through there. It's not a super critical measurement. We're going to call that center. Let me turn on my DRO, and I'm going to zero out the X and Y as soon as it boots up. All right, so now I can just move back and forth the distance there to get that. And to get that distance, what I'm going to do is we're going to measure from outside to outside. We're just going to call it, you know, depending on how that flexes, we're going to call it 1 inch 50 thousandths. The pipe is 250 thousandths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 inch 50 thousandths. We'll subtract 250 thousandths from that, and that should be 800 thousandths. 1.050 minus 0.250 equals 800 thousandths. I always double check my math. So now using the digital readout, I'm just going to pull over here 800 thousandths, which is, boom, right there. Lock my tables down, and we'll drill that out once I plug my mill in. right, I'm not going to put this all the way in right now just because I've got to figure out exactly where this needs to be inside the tube, and I need to talk to Dave about that and get some feedback from him on that. And then I'm going to cut these, and those are actually going to be probably soldered in place permanently. And then on this side, I think what I'm going to end up doing is drilling these out and putting pipe threads in there to plumb it up from the outside, and it'll basically just all be a solid piece that will slide in there. So I don't want to slide these all the way on there and then have to get it back off later. But I can tell just from coming over here that the spacing is right. It's going to work just fine. So I've accomplished what I wanted to do today, which was build this block. And we'll get back to the rest of this project. And again, we'll probably end up shooting a separate video on making this burner later on, but I need to get that block built, and that was what today's project's about. So got a package in the mail, and this one came all the way from Australia, about as far away from South Georgia as you can possibly get. And I know I have quite a few viewers down there in Australia, New Zealand, down that part of the world, and always enjoy chatting with you guys. I've always wanted to visit Australia. I haven't ever had a chance to go down there, but maybe one of these days I will. I have a lot of colleagues that I work with on a professional level down in Australia, and people that over the years that I've worked with down there, and it's just someplace I've always wanted to go to. So like I said, maybe one day I'll get down there. So this comes from Jason Jones, and Jason is in Melbourne, Australia. And he contacted me a while back and said he wanted to send me a couple of things just from Australia, not necessarily shop items, but just some Australian items. So let's pull out here. So first off, just a little souvenir type thing, a little license plate. It says Keith on it in Australia. So actually I've got a bunch of little machine badges and stuff that I've kind of, not a bunch, but I've got a few of them that I've got tacked up here on the wall, and I'll probably put that up there with them. So anyway, that's kind of cool. Let's see, there's a little bookmark he sent me on an Aussie gentleman that's got a bunch of Australian sayings and basically interpreting them into English for us Americans to understand what they're going on. This is quite humorous. I won't read them all because I'd probably butcher the Australian part of it. And let's see, there's a little pin here, little pin we'll probably stick up here on the apron for today. It says Melbourne, Australia. But really the real reason that he sent this to me is he had seen me talk about some beef jerky, and I've had a couple of guys actually now send me some beef jerky in the mail, and you know, I always like snacks, as you guys can tell, and like jerky for sure. And he said, I'm going to send you something a little unusual and from Australia. So he sent me a pack of kangaroo jerky. So we're going to try some roux here and see how this goes. So let's see, we're just going to tear into it. Smells like jerky. Hadn't even tried it yet, just opened the bag. So let's see what this tastes like. It's good. First time that I know of anyway that I've ever eaten any kangaroo. It says ingredients: kangaroo meat, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. Kangaroo sourced from Australian government overseen programs. This scientific name, Marcopius rufus. I guess that's the scientific name of a kangaroo. Anyway, it's good. So thanks, Jason. I'll probably share this maybe with some family members. They all like beef jerky. I may give them some and not tell them what it is until after they eat it. Have a little fun with that. So thanks a lot. I appreciate the jerky. I appreciate the opportunity to try out some kangaroo, and good to hear from you from Australia. Thanks, Jason. So up next here, we got a eBay purchase that I recently made. I had mentioned that I'm looking to fill out the rest of my Greenfield tap and die tap wrenches, and this was one of the ones that was on the list. So this is a number 0. I picked up a 00, I don't know, a week or two ago. Still looking for a number 4, and I guess a 7.5 if I really want to fill out my total list there. But you know, we're looking, that one's about 7 inches long, and it is in great shape. In fact, if you look on here, you can still see some of the coloring of the case hardening on here. Those blues and kind of I don't know, copper looking colors that are in there that you see with case hardening. So anyway, this one's a real nice one, and we will put this out in my toolbox at the shop with the rest of my tap wrenches. And like I said, I've been trying to round up the last couple of ones and still looking for that elusive number 4, but we'll get it. We'll find it soon. So up next is another purchased item that I recently acquired. Not really a tool, but it's a source of knowledge, so that's always important too. This is a book titled Casting Brass by C.W. Amin, and several of you on the forums have recommended this book to kind of help me with some of my challenges I've been having casting brass. And so this is a really good book. So published by Tab Books, and looks like a copyright date on this was 1985, first printing. So as far as I can tell, this book is out of print right now. I was able to find a used copy of it in great shape over at ABE Books. I was at American Book Exchange, I think, abebooks.com, which I use quite frequently when I'm looking for an old book or something. A lot of times you can find them on there. But anyway, pick this one up. You know, I will probably, I've got a business trip coming up here pretty soon. I'll probably carry this with me, and it'll be some reading material. You know, you can always tell when you're riding next to me on an airplane because I'm always reading something like this rather than a nice thrill-binding novel or something. I'm always reading something technical. But anyway, we'll give this a look, and maybe it'll come in handy and give me some good tips on what to do. I know there's a lot of stuff in here on gates and sprues and vents and just all kinds of stuff, and a lot of information. So anyway, I'm looking forward to giving this a read and see if I can pick up some tips out of it. All right, so we'll wrap up another issue of Odds and Ends. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you to my many subscribers. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot, guys.